Namaskar, welcome to News Night. Our lens is focused on the Central Vista project today, which the Delhi High Court has termed as a project of national importance. We'll be highlighting points raised by the government and debunking some myths around the project and looking at why it is in national interest. My name is Mark Lynn. Let's begin with the headlines. The Central Vista project to continue. Delhi High Court dismisses a PIL to stop the construction, saying it is a project of national importance, imposes 1 lakh rupees fine on petitioners, terms the PIL as motivated. Government targets opponents of the project after the Delhi High Court verdict. The Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Singh Puri says false narrative is being spread on the Central Vista project, dismisses allegations that the project cost is coming in the way of vaccine procurement, says that the project has been in the works for a long time. Second wave of COVID-19 weakens further. 1,52,000 new cases reported in the last 24 hours, the lowest in the last 50 days. Active cases decreased by 88,416. Recovery rate increases to 91.60% and positivity rate falls to 9.07%. Restrictions ease as the war against COVID in the states continues. Factories open in Delhi. Construction work starts. Restrictions eased in 61 districts of Uttar Pradesh. From Tuesday, unlock starts in Madhya Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir. Bihar lockdown extended till June 8. Curfew in Andhra Pradesh is extended till June 10. The centre to take a final decision in 2 days on whether to conduct or to cancel the CBSE and ICSE board examinations for Class 12. The Attorney General briefs the Supreme Court. The matter has been adjourned till Thursday. There's been some relief on the economic front as the GDP grows by 1.6% in the fourth quarter. The growth rate for the financial year 2021 is minus 7.3%. The chief economic advisor says that the decline is less than expected. Retail inflation rate is 6%. Output of 8 core sectors jumps by 56.1% in April. EPFO gives relief to account holders, allowing the members to take a second COVID-19 advance. And an update from the French Open. Well, John Isner has beaten Sam Curry 7-6, 6-3, 6-4 to enter the second round. And in the women's singles, Madison Keys has entered the second round. Well, our top story. The Delhi High Court has dismissed a PIL that sought to stop construction of the Central Vista project in New Delhi. A bench of the Chief Justice D.N. Patel and Justice Jyoti Singh called the essential product one of national importance. They said that the PIL was motivated and they also fined the petitioners 1 lakh rupees.
Work on the Central Vista project of the central government will continue. The Delhi High Court on Monday dismissed a petition filed to stop work on the project. The High Court reprimanded the petitioner and said that the construction work cannot be stopped. A bench headed by Chief Justice D.N. Patel and Justice Jyoti Singh said that the petition was motivated and not a genuine public interest litigation. The court said that the project is scheduled to be completed by November 2021 and hence work should continue. The court also referred to the government's assertion that the labor force engaged in the construction activity are living on site with all appropriate COVID protocols in place. So the question of stopping construction work does not arise. Also, The executive order of the DDMA does not restrict construction work. The petition had argued that the project was not essential work and could be halted for some time, especially during COVID times. The petition also opined that no construction work of any project should be permitted during COVID period. However, the court did not accept these arguments and even imposed a fine of Rs 1 lakh on the petitioner. Armed with a legal green signal from the Delhi High Court for the Central Vista project, the government targeted opponents of the project. Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Puri told the press that misinformation was being spread about the project, which is not a new project but has been in pipeline for a long time, long before the COVID pandemic struck the nation.
आपने आज सुबह देखी होगी ऑनरेबल दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट ने एक जजमेंट दी है। सवाल ये उठता है कि जिन्होंने ये पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट लिटिगेशन फाइल की है, पहले तो कोर्ट ने कहा ये मोटिवेटेड है, और ये पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट की बात नहीं है, मोटिवेटेड है, एंड दे हैव अवॉर्डेड कॉस्ट आल्सो 1 लाख रुपए का।
Rejecting the allegations that the project would cost 20,000 crore rupees, Minister said that this figure is totally incorrect.
टोटल खर्चे की बात है यहां पे 1300 करोड़ के आसपास की, और इसमें रिलेशनशिप क्या है विद द पैंडेमिक। 20,000 करोड़ का खर्चा आप महामारी के दौरान कर रहे हैं, इस पैसे को आप लगाइए वैक्सीनेशन प्रोग्राम पे। वैक्सीनेशन प्रोग्राम पे भी आई एम क्वाइट हैप्पी टू आंसर क्वेश्चन। 35,000 करोड़ केंद्रीय सरकार ने वैक्सीनेशन प्लान के लिए एलोकेट किया है।
Hardeep Puri also assured that buildings of historical importance will not be demolished. Vaccines are being administered to the labor force and all COVID appropriate protocols are being followed. The centre also strongly refuted the charge that the spending on the project was coming at the cost of spending on vaccinations.
बाकी भी जो बिल्डिंग्स हैं, राष्ट्रपति भवन, नॉर्थ ब्लॉक, साउथ ब्लॉक, पार्लियामेंट, बाकी जो हेरिटेज बिल्डिंग है, हम शुरू से ये स्पष्ट करते आ रहे हैं कि none of these buildings will be touched. जो historic, cultural, iconic buildings है, they will remain exactly as they are.
Hardeep Puri alleged that the dispute was at the behest of a political party that had been wiped out in both the elections of 2014 and 2019.
This is a project of necessity, and this project is a living testimony to the incompetence of the party which was in governance for nearly 7 decades. ये motivated और ill-intentioned, mal-intent के साथ ये criticism है।
A new parliament building is being constructed under the Central Vista project. Under the Central Vista Avenue, a 3-kilometer area from Rashtrapati Bhavan to India Gate is to be redeveloped. A new secretariat and office buildings for several ministries are to be constructed through this project. With input from Shailendra Mishra, Bureau Report, DD News.
So let's look at some truth versus falsehood as far as this project is concerned. The new Parliament House and Central Vista project. How long has this project been discussed? Well, it's been going on since the 1980s. And in 2012, in fact, the then Speaker Meera Kumar had approved the plan for the new Parliament building. And also in 2012, the Congress leader Jairam Ramesh wrote an article and supported the new Parliament building. So let's look at why do we need a new Parliament building? Well, the present building is about 94 years old, and a new Parliament House is necessary because it is going to be seismic zone 4 compliant. You know, Delhi is in the seismic zone 4, and a 94-year-old building may not actually withstand that kind of compliance as of now. So this new building will be seismic zone 4 compliant. Also, the capacity is limited in the current Parliament House for the number of MPs. We know that India is expanding in terms of the number of constituencies and population. So this is also necessary. 1.3 billion people will require more people, more representatives in Parliament. A much bigger house is necessary. So what is the project cost of the Central Vista? Well, the new Parliament House and the Central Vista, these are two different, the Central Vista Corridor Avenue, these are two different projects. And 862 crore rupees in expenditure is for the Parliament House, the new Parliament House. 477 crore rupees is for the avenue, the Central Vista Avenue. So that is a total of roughly 1,300 crore rupees. And that expenditure is off now. That has been allocated. Tenders have been given for those two projects only. So is necessary permissions taken? Are necessary permissions taken? Heritage protection in place? Well, all permits for the construction have been taken. In fact, the Supreme Court has also passed all these permissions. The project is to go ahead. And old historic buildings, of course, will remain untouched. We heard the minister saying that himself. Why is the Central Vista Corridor necessary in COVID times? That's a question that is put up in the courts. But the project has been ongoing for some time. And the rupees 35,000 crore rupees has already been allocated for COVID vaccination. This project has nothing to do, with taking funds away from COVID vaccination. And the advance payments have been made also to vaccine manufacturers. More funds will also be made available, if the requirements are required with regard to health. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll put this all into focus with our guests in a short while. Stay with us.
डॉक्टरों की राय अपने डॉक्टर स्पीक कार्यक्रम में हर रोज दोपहर 12 से 1 बजे, दोपहर 3 से 4 बजे और शाम 7 से 8 बजे डीडी न्यूज और डीडी इंडिया पर। अपने सवालों के लिए डायल करें 011-233-87-031।
Welcome back, and let's bring our subject of discussion into focus today. This is it. Clearing myths about Central Vista project. That's what we're going to be doing today. And joining us in this discussion, we have Shekhar Iyer, senior journalist, and Sanjay Kumar Singh, senior journalist. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. Mr. Shekhar Iyer, let me start with you. So the Supreme Court has already passed this. It has passed, the highest court of the land. And, a PIL is brought before the Delhi High Court at a time when COVID is going on and bringing in COVID arguments. But then we saw today that the PIL has been thrown aside and costs were also imposed on the PIL. Why is there politics being played on something that has already received the clearance of the highest court of the land?
Well, I think it's evidently clear, and which Delhi High Court has also taken note of, that there is an attempt, rather a repeated attempt to somehow see that the project is somehow halted, because this time the plea was, halted till the pandemic is over. When they know that this particular project, Central Vista Avenue project, is to be completed by November this year.
That's right.
So the whole idea seems to be somehow, delay it, somehow see that, you can put some hurdle so that the project is not completed in time. And you can always say that, nothing was done under Prime Minister Modi's tenure. So the whole idea is rather politically motivated. That is the reason why the Delhi High Court in its order today said that this is a project of vital importance. And the idea of citing the pandemic as a cause was also rejected by the High Court, which said, look, this project has been cleared by the Delhi Disaster Management Authority, which allows for project work to continue if the workers are close to are living or staying close to the project.
Yes.
And so when things are very clear, and the court itself, said it is a motivated campaign, it's a motivated petition. That is why they have imposed a 1 lakh rupees, cost, which is a very severe censure on the petitioner, making it very clear that what has already been approved by the Supreme Court, then to come back in some form or the other, they had actually gone to the Supreme Court first. Supreme Court told them that we don't want to listen to this petition, hear this petition. And they had asked them to approach the Delhi High Court because they were talking about Delhi Disaster Management Authority giving permission and all that. But what is coming clear is, Mark,
Yes.
we are seeing a pattern. We are seeing a pattern, and a pattern that may resemble what has now come to be known as the toolkit, where,
Okay.
you somehow create some kind of problem or make out a controversy, like
Right.
as the Urban Development Minister was saying today,
Yes.
that you try to make out that this project is happening at the cost of government's, allocation for health or for fighting pandemic, which
Right.
is absolutely false, because this is a completely different thing. The money was sanctioned much earlier, work started
Right.
much before pandemic. And this is a project involving, for this current project, the new Parliament House, as well as the Central Vista Avenue, as you mentioned in your
Yes.
very beautiful graphics, is only about 1,300 crores.
That's right.
So therefore, to come with figures, huge figures like 20,000 crore, 30,000 crore, I think it is to utilize this opportunity, I mean, quote unquote,
Right.
provided by the pandemic, and since people are in distress,
Okay.
try to show that the Prime Minister and the government are spending money on a project which doesn't seem as important as fighting pandemic, when these two are separate things and
Right.
separate actions are
So that-
being taken.
So that is the narrative that was trying to be built up, and we can see that it had a political motive. Sanjay Singh, but the point is about this project. I mean, it is only going to cost about 1,300 crore rupees, both the projects together. But the Central Avenue project, which is the one that they're concerned about, is really just to beautify the place. I mean, it is to build toilets, to improve the drainage, to create underpasses. This is a place which is visited by thousands and thousands of people, and it is the central, it's the Rajpath, and it's to actually enhance the beauty of the place at the current time. So that is the important aspect that needs to be noticed as well.
Mark, I think two issues need to be discussed, and greater clarity in minds of people has to be. A, why this project is important. We have talked endlessly about need for a new Parliament House, and that thing is being talked about for more than a decade or so. And that was discussed at length during UPA regime. And also there was an agreement that has to be built. No question on that. But people are also talking as to why that construction is going on there. Then a whole lot of other things. And then it narrows down to the critics, the political rivals, including Congress party top leaders, saying Modi Mahal ban raha hai. Modi is constructing a house for his own to live.
Right.
That I think gives an idea as to how motivated their campaign could be, and how fictitious and how kind of this is a toolkit kind of a campaign, whereby you mislead popular mind talking about Modi Mahal, Modi's house, whereas the larger issue of Central Vista is relegated to the background, and some misinformation goes in popular mind and some confusion is created. Look at the situation. Delhi still, New Delhi is known as Lutyens Delhi. We are more than over 70 years of Indian independence, and still people world over call it Lutyens Delhi. We also call it Lutyens Delhi. Any sovereign country, any independent country which is confident of its own, I'm not saying demolish all pre-colonial era buildings or colonial era buildings, but I'm saying that whenever there is a need, construction of new buildings have to take place. Also, those were the times, the demands, the needs, the technology, several other things have come up, whereby there is also need to restructure, to reconstruct, construct, demolish old houses, and look at a situation. What have we created in last 70 years since time of Indian independence? You'd hardly come up with two such buildings in New Delhi area. Other buildings are so Spartan. In fact, even when they were constructed, I don't think they were constructed with a larger and longer vision. And therefore, the kind of politics that we saw around construction of Central Vista, people linking it to all kinds of reasons, all kinds of motives being put in. Thankfully, Delhi High Court's verdict was very clear, very categorical today, imposing a fine of 1 lakh rupees on the petitioner, reveals it all.
Indeed. So, Shekhar Iyer, the argument that one can make about PILs is that they can be used politically, as one can see, to try and derail a project, and also to try and defame people. So that, I think, you actually see sort of established that in your first answer. But the point is that the narrative continues in the public space, and that has to some extent, this project has many other aspects that will come up later. Right now, there are just two parts of it. So this is a debate that will continue for some time. How do you view, this particular narrative that is being built up?
Well, you can see, Mark, this whole thing has been whipped up at this juncture because of the general distress, everyone has been facing on account of the COVID-19, the second wave. The fact that, in the past 1 month or so, we have seen a lot of distress on account of the sudden spread of the second wave, and with number of people being affected, there is a demand for hospital beds, for ICU, for oxygen. When the opposition senses a kind of distress among the people, they feel that this is the time, this is an opportunity, quote unquote, to corner the government by trying to set a new narrative saying, look, all this is happening because this government is bothered about something else. Right. So that is why frequent references to the Roman emperor fiddling while the Rome burned, that kind of analogy that is being sought to be created is only to show that or attempt to show that somehow this government is not concerned, but which is not the true picture, because the money allocated for pandemic is 35,000 crore as mentioned by the finance minister, and it was again reiterated today by Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri ji. So that money is there, and that money is, from that money only the manufacturers are being given advanced money for production of vaccines. Now this is something else. This is the money that has been set apart for particularly the works in Delhi, which have already become creaky, like for instance the Parliament building. Right. The old Parliament building is almost 95 years old and it needs to be changed, and we have had several parliamentary committees going into it and saying that there are repairs are going on, and the amount of money being already spent every year for in the name of maintenance is a drag on the treasury. So therefore it was conceived that there should be a new building, and this was agreed right at the time when Meera Kumar was the Lok Sabha speaker and she belonged to the Congress. And subsequently also we have heard even the previous government telling Parliament and MPs that we need to look at for a new place. Now when this government came, they took up the project because the question of, the issue of delimitation is going to loom large by 2026 when there was a freeze on the number of
seats,
members of Parliament. That will end by 2026, which means you need a new space which will have to accommodate almost say Lok Sabha, which would have 888 members of Parliament. That's right. And similarly, the Rajya Sabha will also reflect an increase in number. So therefore, you need a new building with modern facilities, with lot of the digital technology, so that the members are able to access information, which is the key to future governance, and as well as this present Parliament building provides for each member of Parliament will have a chamber for himself or herself where they can meet their constituents. See, a lot of facilities are going to provide it, and this building will remain as a heritage building. But I think what is happening is somehow there is a restlessness among certain sections of the opposition parties and some people who are very upset over the mandate of 2014 and 2019. And they look at this is a good issue, and more because of this current state of the pandemic, because they know once the pandemic subsides, when all the measures that the government have taken in place have rolled out, there will not be so much of distress. Right. So I think it's purely trying to take advantage of a difficult situation when everyone is expected to cooperate with authorities in combating the pandemic.
Right. And Sanjay Singh, so it is a pandemic time, and of course precautions have to be taken, and this has been assured to the court, and the court is satisfied with with the provisions being made by the builders who have won the tender. And this is also important economically because these projects are continuing, they provide employment to people, and the economy needs to continue. It's not like it's the only project in the whole of Delhi. There are lots of buildings that are being built. So, it can't stand out as something that is like a sore thumb or something. It's basically, it's one of many projects, and all the protocols are being followed. So there was no reason for the court to, you know, turn it down.
Well, the problem is not about, of course, we all know that COVID-related protocol was being followed, those who were working at Central Vista sites. Also, this was a time when common traffic was less. People were moving as it was. There was curfew in the town.
Yeah.
And if at all kind of precautions were being taken, this was a good time to go the construction to continue. As you mentioned, construction in other parts of the city, that was also going on, works related to PWD, CPWD, and some metro projects also. In rural areas, the work related with Prime Minister Sarak Yojana, you had other housing projects that were going on. You also had kind of road construction and other Manrega activities that were also going on, because you need to have some kind of economic activity. You can't stop all economic activities. The problem was political, because the problem is how Modi is doing it, and therefore they were doing all sorts of things, and that was the crux of argument in Delhi High Court and also in the Supreme Court. And this was a politically motivated petition. They had tried all tactics right from the time this project was announced. If you look at it, those who were opposing these projects, the Central Vista project, anything related to Central Vista, anything related to Parliament House, they are same set of people who are opposing Prime Minister Modi and his government on any and every issue right from the time he came to assume power in 2014. Right. And therefore, all those arguments, even if this was the project had stopped, then they would have claimed something else. They would have said, after a while, they would have said what the project escalation, fast escalation is there. The time schedule has not been adhered, and they would have come up with different other kinds of argument. Let us understand this PIL, as the court has said, this was motivated PIL. You have, during the pendency of PIL, you saw same set of people coming out, tweeting, making public speeches, coming out with press conferences, writing letters, doing so on and so forth, on all whatever platform that was available to them. Before that, they were doing same thing. So this is not about the project per se. If independent India is constructing, a sovereign nation is constructing a project of pride and development that is associated, and that would be in some way symbolic to the emergence of new India, why not? That's a welcome project that should go on with all COVID protocol, and also have some kind of economic activity going on for the people concerned.
Exactly, and the important thing, Mr. Shekhar Iyer, is that the workers are being taken care of very well. Also, you know, they're being provided with vaccines, they are being provided with on-site, you know, they are living on-site, they are in a closed community, which they are not basically meeting other people. It's more like a bubble in a sense. So in this context, you know, even the concern that all the COVID concerns of a super spreader kind of an event are absolutely, you know, they don't at all make any sense. So because it's an isolated area. So I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was made clear to the Delhi High Court, and the Delhi High Court also understood from what the center had, you know, stated before the court, that all the protocols are being followed, and there is no huge movement of workers or anything as such. They are on-site workers, they live close by, and so therefore any concern, you know, if there are genuine concerns even about, you know, any spread of disease because of the project is unfounded. And that is why the Delhi High Court rejected the argument of the petitioners who said this is a super spreader. They said construction is a super spreader, which was not accepted by the High Court. And High Court was very clear that this petition is motivated. You know, that's very important point we will have to take note, because in a way they have, rather I would say, completely, you know, shown how such methods are being adopted by people who feel that, you know, they should take recourse to even litigation by way to stop important projects.
Indeed. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. So clearly there that this, the court order has been very clear in its direction that this was a politically motivated PIL, and it also imposed costs. Clearly these projects are in national importance, they are projects of national importance. And importantly, the second project on the avenue is basically for providing public amenities like toilet blocks, paths, parking space, vendor zones, also making of pedestrian underpasses, and also improvement of canals, bridges, lawns, lights, etc., which were woefully in need in the Rajpath area. Moving on then to our next story. The number of active cases of COVID have been declining. There was a net decline of 88,416 in the last 24 hours. The active caseload of 20,26,092 is 7.22% of the country's total positive cases. Let's look at the details.
COVID-19 cases across the country are now witnessing a steady decline. India has now reported lowest daily new cases in last 50 days with 1,52,734 cases reported in the last 24 hours. With declining number of cases in the country, India is now witnessing a continuous fall in the active caseload with 20,26,092 active cases reported as on Monday. A net decline of 88,416 is witnessed in the last 24 hours, and active cases now stands at 7.22% of the country's total positive cases. On the other hand, India's daily recoveries continue to outnumber daily new cases for 18th consecutive day, having recorded 2,38,022 recoveries in the last 24 hours. The overall recovery rate now stands at 91.60%. On the other hand, the government is actively strengthening its fight against mucormycosis, also known as black fungus. The government has allocated an additional 30,100 vials of antifungal drug amphotericin B to all states and union territories and central institutions on Monday. The vaccination drive is maintaining momentum across the country. Implementation of liberalized and accelerated phase 3 strategy of COVID-19 vaccination has started from 1st May 2021. More than 23 crore vaccine doses have been provided to states and union territories so far. The centre has provided the vaccine doses through both free of cost category and direct state procurement category to states and union territories. The total consumption including wastages has been recorded as 21,22,38,652 on Monday. Whereas more than 1.75 crores COVID-19 vaccine doses are still available with the states and union territories that are to be administered. Furthermore, more than 2.73 lakh vaccine doses are in the pipeline that will be sent to the states and union territories within next 3 days. Meanwhile, the centre has reviewed the progress of vaccination through video conferencing with administrators from the states and union territories. The centre has directed the states to ramp up administration of vaccination doses from June onwards and has also urged to increase the number of near-to-home vaccination centres. States and union territories were also exhorted to proactively increase engagement with private hospitals on COVID-19 vaccinations. The government is taking all necessary steps to fulfill the requirement of liquefied medical oxygen. Chennai Port is now playing a key role of a hub, ensuring immediate supply of oxygen to the port city. The Ministry of Shipping has waived off all charges for handling oxygen cargo at ports at the request of Tamil Nadu government. So far, Indian Railways has delivered more than 21,939 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen in more than 1,304 tankers to 15 states across the country. This also includes offloading of 7,500 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen in Delhi NCR region by oxygen expresses, whereas 11 loaded oxygen expresses are on the way with more than 827 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen in 46 tankers that will soon be reaching to its respective destinations. On the other hand, BJP President JP Nadda laid the foundation stone of 2 new oxygen plants at Himachal Pradesh via video conferencing. With this, vehicles loaded with relief material and medical equipments were also flagged off.
एक PSA प्लांट ऊना में भी लगना है और अभी हम 330 बेड को ऑक्सीजन युक्त कर पाएंगे, उसके बाद हम 700 बेड को ऑक्सीजन युक्त कर पाएंगे।
Strengthening the fight against COVID-19, Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan virtually inaugurated a 200-bedded jumbo COVID hospital in Durgapur on Monday.
मिड अप्रैल आते आते ये 7-8 हजार की प्रेशर आई और मई पहले से हम लोग देश में लगभग 10,000 मेट्रिक टन प्रतिदिन लिक्विड मेडिकल ऑक्सीजन देश के लिए उपलब्ध करवाए। मैं सबसे पहले बधाई देता हूं आसनसोल और दुर्गापुर को। तब बंगाल में कोई बहुत आवश्यकता नहीं थी, लेकिन दुर्गापुर और आसनसोल ने कोई कसर कमी नहीं रखी, देश की आवश्यकता को उन्होंने पूरा किया।
Government's strict and swift actions are indeed helping in lowering the number of COVID-19 cases. On the other hand, mass vaccination is playing a key role in this fight against COVID-19. But complete containment of the virus can only happen with collective efforts, where role of each citizen plays a crucial role in this fight against COVID-19. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, as the number of cases decline, states have begun reducing the number of COVID restrictions with cautious optimism. It's important that people continue, however, to maintain the key protocols of masking up, social distancing and regular hand washing. Take a look at this report from across the states.
As many states continue to maintain the trend of declining new cases, they are gradually relaxing lockdown rules. However, many other states have also announced decision to extend the lockdown period. National capital Delhi has relaxed rules from Monday. Factories and construction works have been allowed to resume work. In another development in Delhi, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal inaugurated a free vaccination center for media persons and their families. In Uttar Pradesh, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath held a meeting with Team 9 to review COVID situation and instructed officials to take necessary measures. Uttar Pradesh Additional Chief Secretary for Health Amit Mohan Prasad said that recovery rate in the state has improved to 96.6%, while positive rate has declined to 3.4%. He also informed that curfew restrictions will be relaxed in 61 districts of Uttar Pradesh where active caseload has declined, while partial curfew will continue in 14 districts.
61 जिले जहां सक्रिय केस, एक्टिव केस 600 से अब कम हो गए हैं, कल से वहां पर छूट दी जाएगी। बाकी के जो जिले हैं 14 जिले, अभी उनमें आंशिक कोरोना कर्फ्यू चलता रहेगा। जब वहां भी 600 से सक्रिय केस कम हो जाएंगे तब फिर वहां भी छूट दी जाएगी।
Besides, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath also inaugurated COVID Care Center at Vrindavan via video conferencing. He expressed hope that coronavirus infections will be under control before any third wave.
आशंका व्यक्त की जा रही है थर्ड वेव की। यद्यपि जो तैयारी भारत की है, जो मार्गदर्शन प्रधानमंत्री जी का अब पूरे देश को मिल रहा है, हम लोग इस बात पर पूरी तरह आश्वस्त हैं कि थर्ड वेव को हम आने के पहले ही कंट्रोल करने में सफल होंगे। लेकिन फिर भी अगर आती है तो हमारा प्रयास होगा कि हम लोग किसी भी बच्चे पर आंच न आने दें।
In Bihar, Chief Minister Nitish Kumar announced decision to extend the lockdown till 8 June. However, he announced to ease some of the restrictions in order to facilitate business activities. Grocery shops can now open from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Government offices can operate with 25% of employees. Offices can open till 4 p.m. However, there won't be any relaxations in rules for marriage functions and funerals.
सारी दुकान जो खुलेंगी उनको शर्त अनुपालन करना होगा। एक तो दुकानें प्रतिष्ठानों में सभी के लिए हमेशा मास्क पहनना अनिवार्य होगा। दुकानों प्रतिष्ठानों के काउंटर पर दुकानदार द्वारा कर्मियों और आगंतुकों के उपयोग हेतु सैनिटाइजर की व्यवस्था अनिवार्य रूप से की जाएगी।
In Madhya Pradesh, Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan informed that the positive rate has declined to 1.6%, while recovery rate has climbed to 96% in the state. He said that the COVID situation in the state is improving.
मध्य प्रदेश का पॉजिटिविटी रेट घट के अब 1.6% रह गया है और रिकवरी रेट अपना 95.97 मतलब 96% हो गया है। इसको और आगे लगातार बढ़ाने की हम लोग कोशिश करते रहेंगे। अब कुछ जिले तो ऐसे हैं मध्य प्रदेश में, खंडवा जैसे जिलों में एक भी पॉजिटिव केस नहीं आया।
A corona safety team has been set up in the state to ensure that COVID-appropriate behavior is followed even after corona curfew is lifted. In Chhattisgarh, Chief Minister announced an assistance of 5 lakh for families of media persons who died due to COVID-19. The state government will also reimburse their expenses incurred for COVID treatment at hospitals. In Jammu and Kashmir, markets opened on Monday as the process of partial unlock started in the Union Territory. Shops have been allowed to open on alternate days. In Andhra Pradesh, state government has extended curfew till 10th June. The curfew rules will remain in force as before. Overall, on one hand, while many states are relaxing the lockdown and curfew rules, on the other, many states have also extended their lockdown to control the spread of coronavirus infections. Bureau Report, DD India.
The Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has today organized a vaccination camp for its employees, including the contractual staff with their family members. And earlier in the month as well, the Press Information Bureau had inoculated nearly 400 officials of various media units. The Union Minister for Information Broadcasting, Prakash Javadekar, also urged all media, electronic, print as well as digital, to continuously inform and educate citizens about COVID-appropriate behavior and the importance of vaccinations and getting people inoculated.
मैं सभी मीडिया जो टेलीविज़न चैनल्स और समाचार पत्र है या डिजिटल पोर्टल्स हैं, सबको आग्रह करता हूं कि वो कोविड के संबंध में ये जो सावधानियां बरतनी है उसको बार बार लोगों के सामने लाएं और समाज में ऐसा माहौल बनाएं ताकि 18 उम्र से ऊपर जिनकी आयु है वो सब लोगों का टीकाकरण दिसंबर तक पूरा हो जाएगा.
Well, the Congress-ruled Rajasthan government has been blaming the centre over the coronavirus vaccine shortage. An investigation conducted by a local daily has found that around 500 vaccine vials containing more than 2,500 doses were discarded in the state. Here's a report.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. These vials lying at vaccine centre once again exposed the hollow claims of Rajasthan government about vaccine shortage. 500 vials from 35 different vaccine centres, enough to inoculate 2,500, disposed of to the dustbins. It raises concerns about claims of vaccine shortage made by the Rajasthan. All these vials were discarded in dustbins at different health centres in 8 districts of Rajasthan. Bundi tops the list of districts with vaccine wastage with a high 25%. Ruling Congress party is trying to present a brave face.
आप जबरदस्ती किसी के लगा नहीं सकते और दूसरा जो उनका क्राइटेरिया उसके अलावा आप लगा नहीं सकते. तो ऐसे में पूरे देश में वैक्सीन बर्बाद हुई है. हम तो 13वें राज्य हैं, 12 राज्य हमसे और ऊपर हैं जहां पर वैक्सीन का मैं समझता हूं कि काम में नहीं आई है.
Meanwhile, BJP/state governments and has questioned the government's ability to manage supply vaccines across the state.
जहां वैक्सीन कचरे में पड़े हुए हैं, 11.5 लाख वैक्सीन के डोज बर्बाद हो गई है. यह है राजस्थान सरकार का कोविड मॉडल. लेकिन राजस्थान सरकार नंबर 1 है और किस में? महिला उत्पीड़न के अंदर, दलित अत्याचारों के अंदर, युवाओं को उकसाकर केंद्र सरकार को कोसने में. राजस्थान सरकार से ज्यादा उम्मीद की नहीं जा सकती.
Before the case came to the media, the Rajasthan government claimed that the waste of vaccine was just 2%, whereas the figures released by the central government in April and May are more than 2%.
हमारा मैन पावर है जो वैक्सीनेट करेगा लोगों को, वो भी ट्रेंड है. स्टोरेज की कैपेसिटी भी हमारे पास, बम्पर स्ट्रोक भी आ जाए तो हमारे पास स्टोरेज की कैपेसिटी है. अनफॉर्चुनेटली वैक्सीन मिल नहीं रही है.
Prime Minister has repeatedly stressed on reducing the vaccine wastage. The vaccine wastage in Rajasthan has once again raised questions about the inefficacy of the state government. With inputs from Vishal Baristo, DD India.
Concerns as to where the COVID virus originated are growing. A research paper by British professor Angus Dalgleish and the Norwegian scientist Dr. Birger Sorensen. This paper suggests that the virus has no credible natural ancestor. The voice for a fair probe now into the origin of this virus is only getting louder, especially since the novel virus and its variants are infecting different people in different unique ways.
With a renewed focus on a fresh investigation into the origins of the novel coronavirus, US experts have again called on China to provide greater transparency and speed inquiries into whether the pandemic began with a leak from a lab. According to ANI, experts have warned that there is a strong possibility of future similar outbreaks unless the world fully understands the origins of COVID-19. Meanwhile, amid calls for a fresh probe into the origins of COVID-19, an explosive new study has found that Chinese scientists created the virus in a lab in Wuhan, then tried to cover their tracks by reverse engineering versions of the virus to make it look like an evolved naturally from bats. The novel coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 virus has no credible natural ancestor and was created by Chinese scientists who were working on a gain-of-function project in a Wuhan lab. A UK daily reported on Sunday, citing a new research paper by British professor Angus Dalgleish and Norwegian scientist Dr. Birger Sorensen. The new research claims that scientists took a natural coronavirus backbone found in Chinese cave bats and spliced onto it a new spike, turning into a deadly and highly transmissible COVID-19. US President Joe Biden has asked the US intelligence community to redouble their efforts to come to a conclusion on the origins of COVID-19. The call for a renewed pitch to trace the source of COVID-19 took wings again earlier this month. It was after Wall Street Journal stated that 3 researchers from China's Wuhan Institute of Virology sought hospital care after they fell ill in November 2019, a month before Beijing reported the first patient with COVID-like symptoms. The revelation has sparked debate and raised questions about whether China knew of the deadly virus way before it appraised the world. As the world fights the second wave and some nations already experiencing a possible third, the voice for a fair probe into the origins will only get louder and louder until all corporates unite in this biggest challenge that mankind faces in almost a century. Bureau Report, DD News.
Other news now. Well, the government has informed the Supreme Court that it will take a final decision within the next 2 days on whether to conduct the Class 12 board exams. The Attorney General, K.K. Venugopal, informed the bench of Justices A.M. Khanvilkar and Dinesh Maheshwari, which was hearing a plea seeking directions to cancel the Class 12 exams of the CBSE and the Council of Indian School Certificate Examination, given the current pandemic situation. The bench told the AG that the centre can take the decision and is entitled to it, but added that if it is departing from the policy of last year, then reasons must be given for the same. On June 26, 2020, the Supreme Court had approved the schemes for the CBSE and ISCE for cancellation of the remaining board examinations scheduled from July 1 to 15 last year because of COVID-19 pandemic, and also approved a formula for assessment of examinees. To support its subscribers during the second wave of COVID-19, the EPFO has now allowed members to avail a second non-refundable COVID-19 advance. The provision for special withdrawal to meet the financial need of members during the pandemic was introduced in March 2020 under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. Under this provision, the non-refundable withdrawal to the extent of the basic wages and dearness allowance for 3 months or up to 75% of the amount standing to a member's credit in the EPF account, whichever is less is provided. Members can apply for lesser amount. Also, the COVID-19 advance has been a great help to the EPF members during the pandemic, especially for those having monthly wages of less than 15,000 rupees. As on date, EPFO has settled more than 76.31 lakh COVID-19 advance claims, thereby dispersing a total of 18,698.15 crore rupees. Considering urgent need of members for financial support in these trying times, it has been decided to accord top priority to COVID-19 claims. EPFO is committed to settle these claims within 3 days of their receipt. Well, the National Statistical Office, the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, has released the provisional estimates of national income for the financial year 2020-21. The measures taken by the government to contain the spread of COVID-19 pandemic have had an impact on economic activities as well on data collection mechanisms. The growth in GDP during 2020-21 is estimated at minus 7.3% as compared to 4% in 2019-20. GDP at constant prices is in Q4, that is, of 2020-21 is estimated at 38.96 lakh crore rupees as against 38.33 lakh crore rupees in Q4 of 2019-20, showing a growth of 1.6%. In pursuance of the Prime Minister's endeavor of Atmanirbhar Bharat and also to boost indigenization of the defense sector, the Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh has approved the proposal of the Department of Military Affairs, Ministry of Defense, to notify the second positive indigenization list of 108 items. This will give a big boost, a further boost to indigenization with active participation of public and private sector for fulfilling the twin objectives of achieving self-reliance and promoting defense exports. The second positive indigenization list comprises complex systems, sensors, simulator, weapons and ammunitions like helicopters, next-generation corvettes, airborne early warning systems, that's AWACS, tank engines, also medium power radars for mountains, weapon systems, also many more such items to fulfill the requirements of the Indian Armed Forces. This second list is planned to be implemented progressively with effect from December 2021 to December 2025. Let's take a look at what's making headlines across the country. Here's our national roundup.
Former Maharashtra Chief Minister and BJP leader Devendra Fadnavis slammed the state government over the OBC reservation issue, saying it did not work in time and continued seeking more time from the court, which resulted in the Supreme Court rejecting its review petition. Security forces detected and defused 2 improvised explosive devices in Jammu and Kashmir's Pulwama district on Monday. Police said the timely detection of explosives averted major terror incidents. The first IED was detected by a joint team of security forces near Railway Link Road at Pansgam in Pulwama. The Delhi Police Crime Branch has taken wrestler Sushil Kumar, who has been arrested in connection with the murder of wrestler Sagar Dhankad, to Haridwar for investigation. Police will investigate his hideouts and the people who helped him when he was absconding. Union Health Minister Dr. Harsh Vardhan on Monday led the pledge to keep away from tobacco on the occasion of World No Tobacco Day 2021. He expressed his satisfaction that with the persistent efforts of the centre and state governments, the prevalence of tobacco use has decreased. Raising awareness on World No Tobacco Day, well-known sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik made a massive sand art with a message, "Quitters are winners," on Puri Beach. World No Tobacco Day was created with the aim to raise global awareness on tobacco epidemic.
US President Joe Biden says that he will press the Russian President Vladimir Putin to respect human rights when the two leaders meet in June. During a speech which honored the US holiday of Memorial Day, Biden said that the US will not stand by and let Putin abuse those rights. The June 16 meeting, it comes amid strained relations over US election interference that Moscow denies, cyber attacks and Ukraine.
We're unique in the world. I had a long conversation for 2 hours recently with President Xi, making it clear to him that we could do nothing but speak out for human rights around the world, because that's who we are. I'll be meeting with President Putin in a couple weeks in Geneva, making it clear that we will not stand by and let him abuse those rights.
The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said that he wants the G7 group of rich nations to agree on a plan that would see everyone around the world vaccinated against COVID-19 by the end of 2022. In an interview, Johnson also said that he's looking to the G7 to come to an agreement on implementing vaccine passports and to start discussions on a global pandemic preparedness treaty at the next month's meeting to be held in the United Kingdom. Now, the UK Prime Minister also will host the meeting of G7 leaders, the heads of government, in southwest county of Cornwall. This is between June 11 and 13.
What we want the G7 to try to agree is that instead of vaccinating the whole world by 2024 or 2025, which is the current, what we'd achieve on the current timetable, we need to get this done by the end of next year, by 2022. What we need, I think, is a global treaty on pandemic preparedness. We need to have a global network of surveillance for pandemics. We need to have rules so that there can be no interruptions of supplies across borders, so that we have secure supply chains for the things that we depend on in future. And clearly we need to have agreements on issues such as vaccine passports, COVID status certification, and the rest.
And with that, we conclude Newsnight for tonight. Thanks very much for watching, and always remember to mask up, keep yourself safe, and keep all those around you safe. Namaskar.